So some more ecosystem factors. Looking at ecosystem characteristics include a range of tolerance to physical and chemical environments by the ecosystem population. So if you look at this graph here, you're looking at low temperature, high temperature. And where is it that the fish tend to occur? Somewhere in this middle range. Very low temperatures, you don't seem to see as much life, but then as you increase, it's something like this bell-shaped curve, right? You have this zone where everything likes to be. It's too hot, they don't like it. Too cold, they don't like it. So the law of tolerance says that the distribution of species in an ecosystem is determined by the levels of one or more physical or chemical factors being within the range of tolerance by that species. And what is it here with the fish? It's the temperature. That factor is causing them to be in a certain area, the optimal range. Now, aquatic life zones can be limited to dissolved oxygen contents in the water, temperature or pH by salinity. So looking at an example here, with the sugar maple, it tends to be in this area here. And what do you think the reason is? What limiting factor do you think is here that isn't here, here, or here? Could be possible rainfall. It could be some type of insect that helps pollinate it. It could be the amount of light. It could be the temperature. So those are some factors there that could limit it to where it can grow. Getting back into the biotic component of an ecosystem, there are main types of biotic organisms in every ecosystem. The main ones are autotrophs and heterotrophs. What does autotroph mean? What does auto mean? Well, auto means self or automatically. Troph is a Latin word for something to do with energy. So put the two together. Self-energy. Who do you think they are? They're plants. Anything that's doing photosynthesis or something that makes its own energy. Now, it's not just photosynthesis, it can also be chemosynthesis. Those organisms that live in the abyssal zone in the ocean that gets no sunlight, but it does get chemo, that they can turn into energy. Now, heterotrophs. What's hetero mean? What's homo mean? Same. Hetero means different. Now, different energy, it means that it has to consume or feed on other organisms to get their energy. And different types of heterotrophs are, you have herbivores, individuals that eat plants, carnivores, those that eat meat, omnivores, which we are, well, most of us, eat plants and animals. Detritivores, what is that? We'll come back to that. And decomposers, which we'll come back to. They're both ones that kind of feed on dead things, but we'll talk a little more about them in a second. So here's a flow map to possibly help you out with looking at a food web or a feeding relationship between producers and consumers and decomposers. So you have plants that get their energy from the sun, and then they also need essential nutrients from the soil and water as well, who are then consumed by consumers that then go. First, the primary consumers feed on the producers, and then secondary or tertiary consumers feed on the primary consumers, which then can either be consumed by scavengers or detritus, which we'll talk about here in a second. And then whether those are consumed or just die, they are decomposed by either bacteria, which then can recycle nutrients, organic matter, back into the soil that then returns back to the producers. So here we go, detritus and decomposers. Detritus are individuals that eat dead things, but don't necessarily break down the organic material back into inorganic material. And that's what sets apart decomposers from detritus. Decomposers will break down organic material and make it inorganic material that then is part of the soil that can be used by producers. Some good examples of detritus, a lot of insects. You have here but good examples of decomposers would be fungus and also bacteria.